Have you ever noticed that the world looks a little different than it used to? Maybe the print in a book seems smaller than you remember. Maybe bright lights bother you more than they once did. Maybe you find yourself moving a lamp closer, or holding your phone at a different angle just to see things the way you want to. If any of that feels familiar, I want you to know you are not imagining it, and you are certainly not alone. Our eyes, like every other part of us, change as we age. And for many older adults, those changes happen so gradually that they almost go unnoticed, until one day, something feels different enough to pay attention to. Today's conversation is about something that I think is genuinely worth your time. We're going to talk about 5 cooked vegetables, ordinary, affordable, easy-to-prepare vegetables that research suggests may support eye health as we age, not as a cure, not as a miracle, but as a meaningful, nourishing part of how we care for the eyes that have served us for decades. Before we go any further, I want to be clear. I'm sharing this for educational purposes only. Please speak with your doctor or healthcare provider before making any changes to your health routine. And please don't delay or skip your regular eye appointments based on anything you hear today. What I'm sharing is meant to complement your care, not replace it. This is a conversation for older adults who want to eat more intentionally for their eyesight, for caregivers who want to support the people they love, and for anyone who has wondered whether the food on their plate might quietly make a difference in how well they see the world. Let me begin with a little context, because I think it helps to understand what's actually happening inside our eyes as we age. The eyes are extraordinary organs. They process light, translate it into electrical signals, and send those signals to the brain, all within fractions of a second, thousands of times each day. And they do this continuously, from the moment we wake up to the moment we close them at night. But like every part of the body, the eyes are vulnerable to the effects of time. 2 of the most common age-related changes that researchers and eye specialists focus on are changes to the macula, which is the central part of the retina responsible for sharp, detailed vision, and changes to the lens of the eye, which can become cloudier with age. Research suggests that oxidative stress plays a significant role in both of these processes. Oxidative stress is a kind of internal imbalance, an excess of molecules called free radicals that, over time, can damage cells and tissues throughout the body, including the delicate tissues of the eye. Studies have found that the eye is particularly vulnerable to oxidative stress because it is constantly exposed to light and requires a great deal of oxygen to function. This is where nutrition comes in. Certain vegetables contain compounds, antioxidants, and other protective substances that research suggests may help counteract oxidative stress and support the health of eye tissue. And here's something interesting that many people don't know. Cooking certain vegetables actually increases the availability of some of these compounds. The heat breaks down cell walls and releases nutrients that might otherwise pass through the body without being fully absorbed. So for these 5 vegetables in particular, cooking is not just convenient. It may actually be beneficial. The first vegetable is one of the most beloved in the world, and one that has a very long history of being associated with eye health. Carrots. Now, you've probably heard the old saying that carrots are good for your eyes. And while the story has sometimes been exaggerated over the years, the underlying science is genuinely real. Carrots are rich in a compound called beta-carotene, which the body converts into vitamin A. And vitamin A plays a direct, essential role in maintaining healthy vision, particularly in low-light conditions. Research has found that vitamin A is a critical component of a pigment in the eye called rhodopsin, which allows the rods, the light-sensitive cells in the retina, to function in dim conditions. When vitamin A is insufficient, one of the first things affected is the ability to see well in low light or at night. For older adults, getting enough vitamin A through diet is something nutrition researchers consistently emphasize as part of supporting long-term eye health. And here's the cooking connection. Studies have found that lightly cooking carrots, steaming, roasting, or simmering them in a soup, can increase the bioavailability of beta-carotene, meaning the body is able to absorb and use more of it compared to eating raw carrots. A bowl of carrot soup, roasted carrots with a drizzle of olive oil and herbs, carrots added to a simple stew. These are not complicated meals. They're warm, nourishing, easy to prepare, and for many older adults, easier to chew and digest than raw carrots, which is a practical consideration worth acknowledging. The second vegetable is one that has attracted enormous scientific attention in recent years, and for very good reason. Spinach. Spinach is one of the most concentrated dietary sources of two compounds called lutein and zeaxanthin. These are both carotenoids, a family of natural pigments found in plants. And studies have found that they accumulate specifically in the macula of the human eye, where they may act as a kind of natural filter, protecting the photoreceptor cells from damage caused by light and oxidative stress. Research suggests that people with higher levels of lutein and zeaxanthin in the diet tend to show certain protective markers in their eye health over time. The Age-Related Eye Disease Study, a major research project funded by the National Institutes of Health, found associations between diets rich in these compounds and lower rates of certain age-related macular changes. And here's something particularly interesting about spinach. Cooking it changes its nutritional profile in a meaningful way. Raw spinach contains oxalic acid, which can actually bind to some minerals and compounds and reduce their absorption. When spinach is lightly cooked, wilted in a pan with a little olive oil, added to a warm soup, or steamed briefly, the oxalic acid is reduced and the lutein and zeaxanthin become more accessible to the body. A warm bowl of lightly sautéed spinach with garlic and olive oil is one of those simple, quiet meals that feels both nourishing and genuinely satisfying. And knowing what the research suggests about its potential benefits for eye health makes it feel even more worthwhile. The third vegetable is one that many people associate with autumn and celebration, but that deserves a place at the table year-round. Sweet potato. Like carrots, sweet potatoes are rich in beta-carotene. In fact, they're one of the most concentrated sources of beta-carotene of any food. A single cooked sweet potato can provide a substantial portion of the daily intake that nutrition researchers associate with vitamin A support. But sweet potatoes also contain something else worth noting: vitamin C and vitamin E, both of which are antioxidants that studies suggest may play a protective role in eye tissue health. Research has looked at the combined effect of multiple antioxidant nutrients, vitamin C, vitamin E, zinc, and carotenoids together, and found that the combination may be more supportive than any single nutrient alone. Cooking sweet potatoes concentrates their natural sweetness and softens their texture, making them one of the most palatable and versatile cooked vegetables for older adults. They can be baked whole, mashed, added to soups, or roasted until caramelized. They require very little preparation and are genuinely enjoyed by most people. Think of someone who struggles with appetite, which is common as we age, being drawn to the natural sweetness of a roasted sweet potato. That enjoyment matters, because a food that's eaten consistently is always more valuable than a food that's abandoned after a week. The vegetable is one that polarizes people. Some love it deeply, some have avoided it their entire lives. But that research consistently highlights as one of the most nutritionally valuable vegetables available. Kale. Kale is, along with spinach, among the highest dietary sources of lutein and zeaxanthin. It's also rich in vitamin C, vitamin K, and a range of other compounds that researchers have studied for their potential protective effects on the body's tissues, including the eyes. Now, if kale has never been part of your cooking, I understand that it can feel unfamiliar or even unappealing in its raw form. Tough, slightly bitter, requiring a lot of chewing. But cooked kale is a very different experience. When kale is wilted in a little olive oil, or added to a warm soup or broth, or baked gently, it becomes tender and mild. The bitterness softens. The texture becomes easy. Research suggests that cooking kale, like cooking spinach, reduces some of the compounds that can interfere with nutrient absorption and makes the beneficial carotenoids more bioavailable. So if kale has felt like a barrier in the past, the cooked version may be the entry point worth trying. A simple kale and vegetable soup. Kale wilted into scrambled eggs. A small portion of lightly cooked kale alongside a piece of fish. These are quiet, undemanding ways to include one of the most nutrient-dense vegetables in the world in an ordinary day. The fifth and final vegetable is one that might surprise you, because it doesn't often appear on lists focused specifically on eye health, and yet the research behind it is genuinely interesting. Broccoli. Broccoli contains both lutein and zeaxanthin, the same eye-supporting carotenoids found in spinach and kale, as well as sulforaphane, a compound that researchers have been studying for its potential antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. Studies have also found that broccoli is a notable source of vitamin C, which some research suggests may support the health of the lens of the eye. What's particularly worth knowing about broccoli is how best to cook it. Research suggests that lightly steaming broccoli, just until it's tender but still bright in color, tends to preserve more of its beneficial compounds than boiling it for a long time or cooking it until it's very soft. The water in which broccoli is boiled can leach out some of its water-soluble nutrients. A steamer basket or a brief sauté in a pan with a small amount of water tends to retain more of what makes broccoli nutritionally interesting. Lightly steamed broccoli with a little lemon juice and olive oil. Broccoli added to a stir-fry or a warm grain dish. A simple soup with broccoli and a little onion and potato blended together. These are easy, satisfying meals that require minimal effort and provide genuine nourishment. Now let me bring this all together in a way that feels practical and connected to real life. The 5 vegetables we've talked about today, carrots, spinach, sweet potato, kale, and broccoli, share something in common. They're all rich in compounds that researchers have specifically linked to eye tissue health. Lutein, zeaxanthin, beta-carotene, vitamin C, vitamin E. These nutrients appear again and again in the scientific literature on aging and vision. and all 5 of these vegetables become more nutritionally accessible, not less, when they're cooked thoughtfully. The pattern that research consistently points toward is not a dramatic dietary overhaul. It's gentle, consistent inclusion, eating a variety of colorful vegetables, particularly these deeply pigmented ones, as a regular part of daily eating over months and years. A useful thought to carry with you. Color is often a clue. The deep orange of a carrot or sweet potato, the rich green of spinach, kale, and broccoli. These colors are the visible expression of the very compounds that researchers associate with protective effects. Eating a colorful plate is, in many ways, eating a protected one. There are also a few practical things worth thinking about as you consider adding more of these vegetables to your meals. Fat matters. In a good way. Many of the compounds we've discussed, including lutein, zeaxanthin, and beta-carotene, are fat-soluble. This means they are absorbed more effectively when eaten alongside a small amount of healthy fat. Olive oil, a little butter, a small handful of nuts. Any of these alongside your cooked vegetables may actually increase how well your body absorbs the nutrients in them. This is one of the reasons that a simple preparation like spinach, sautéed in olive oil, is not just delicious. It's nutritionally thoughtful. Variety also matters. No single vegetable provides everything the eyes need. Eating a range of colorful vegetables, rotating between carrots, spinach, sweet potato, kale, broccoli, and other colorful options, gives the body access to a broader spectrum of protective compounds than relying on just 1 or 2. And one of the most important practical steps you can take is to schedule or keep your regular eye examinations. Research and nutrition can support eye health, but they cannot replace the professional assessment of a qualified eye specialist who can monitor changes over time and give you personalized guidance. If it's been more than a year since your last eye checkup, especially if you're over 60, that conversation with your doctor is worth having soon. It's also worth asking your doctor or a dietitian, are there specific nutritional approaches you recommend for supporting my eye health given my individual situation? That question opens a conversation that can be genuinely tailored to you. I want to close today by acknowledging something that I think deserves to be said clearly and with warmth. The eyes through which you see the world have witnessed a remarkable amount. They have seen people you love. They have read books that changed you. They have watched children grow, and sunsets fade, and ordinary Tuesday mornings unfold in all their quiet beauty. As those eyes change, as the world sometimes looks a little different than it once did, that doesn't diminish any of what they've seen or what they continue to see. It simply means they deserve a little more care and attention, the same care and attention you might give any cherished and hard-working part of yourself. Eating a bowl of carrot soup, wilting some spinach in a pan, roasting a sweet potato on a Sunday afternoon. These are small acts. They take very little time, and yet in the context of a life lived with intention and self-respect, they add up to something real. You are not too old to make a difference in how your body feels and functions. The research says so. But more than that, the simple fact that you're here, paying attention, and looking for ways to take better care of yourself, says so. If something in today's conversation was helpful to you, if it gave you an idea for a meal, or a question to bring to your doctor, or simply helped you feel a little more informed about your own body, I'd genuinely love to hear about it in the comments. Tell me which of these vegetables is already part of your cooking. or which one you're thinking of trying. Your stories matter here. If you have someone in your life who would benefit from this, a parent, a sibling, a dear friend who has been noticing changes in their vision, please share this with them. A gentle conversation about nutrition and eye health might be exactly what they needed to hear today. And please, keep your eye appointments. Ask your doctor the questions that are on your mind. Bring your curiosity and your care for yourself into those conversations. Your eyes have taken care of you. Now it's your turn to take care of them.